Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Arvind Kumar Sharma, Department of Library and Information Science, Maharani Lakshmibai, Government College of Excellence, Gwalior. Today we are going to talk on categories of users under the paper Library Use and User Studies. After reading this module, you will be able to understand the meaning of user, recognize alternate terms used for user, establish correlation between alternative terms and categorize different categories of users. Introduction. Library and information centers collect, organize, retrieve and disseminate information to fulfill the needs of users. In the 21st century, there is a paradigm shift in the functioning of libraries. Now, the libraries are more user-centered, focused and friendly. In earlier days, libraries were concerned to fulfill the needs of the users in anticipation and or on demand. But now users is the integral part of all library processes and services. Their user is no longer an outsider or just a recipient as he was earlier, a silent service taker. But now user is an active participant in all processes and services of libraries. The library is called a trinity of readers, reading material and library personnel. Here in this trinity, user has been considered as the most important constituent. All library activities are focused for catering to the information needs of the user. Alternate terms for user. Indian library users have very diverse and complex social profile. Users are influenced by their social background, cultural, political, economic and other conditions. There are various terms used in various contexts to represent the social concept of reader across the world. In this module, an attempt has been made to define and describe various alternative terms in library and information science described by various scholars such as Jennifer Rowley, H. Julian, Michael Gorman, B.T. Lalu, etc. These scholars have attempted to differentiate these alternative terms. Alternate terms for user. As you are aware, in library and information science literature, various terms have been used to represent the concept of user. There are varieties of terms used in different contexts for users. These all terms reflect the same meaning and interchangeably used for the term user with different connotations. These terms are enumerated alphabetically as below: audience, borrower, buyer, client, consumer, customer, patron, purchaser, reader, and user. There are various alternate terms used for reader or user. One is audience. Audience is a common term which is used in library and information science too. This term is used in the context of public libraries and research activities. Audience is defined as by Wilson, the group of consumers for whom a media text was constructed, as well as anyone else who is exposed to the text. This definition is very wide and reflects the media and information literacy context. Generally, audience are viewers of any program or show. As Wikipedia says, that an audience is a group of people who participate in a show. Borrower. According to Online Dictionary of Library and Information Science, a borrower is a person who checks out books and other materials from a library. Most libraries require users to register to receive the borrowing privileges associated with a library card. The library privileges to which a borrower is entitled are indicated by the individual's borrower status. The term is widely used in circulation activities or circulation counter of a library. In the context of libraries functioning, borrower, reader, or user terms are synonymously used in various contexts. Various other terms have been coined with association of this term. For instances, borrower's card, borrower's register, borrower's account, borrower's status, and borrowing period. Buyer. Business Dictionary defines buyer as a party which acquires or agrees to acquire ownership in case of goods or benefits or uses in case of services in exchange for money or other consideration under a contract of sale. Libraries and information centers are the social institutions and considered as the non-profit organizations. Hence, they do not come under the purview of business. The concept of marketing is now being applied in the operation of libraries also. Some libraries and information centers are charging for their services, but charges are meager and not for profit. So this term is not popular and frequently used in library scenario. Client. According to ODLIS, a client is a person who uses the services of a professionally trained expert or of a professional organization or institution, usually in exchange for payment of a fee. Librarians employed in academic and public libraries usually refer to the people they serve as users or patrons because libraries have traditionally provided most services without charge. Information brokers who operate on a fee for service basis can be more appropriately said to serve clients. This definition elaborates the term and also describes the scope of the term in various contexts. There is another term, consumer. Consumer is also synonyms to user. Business dictionary defines it as a purchaser of a good or service in retail. Second, an end user and not necessarily a purchaser in the distribution chain of a good or service. Generally, this term is not preferred in the literature of library and information science because libraries have been considered as the social service. Customer. According to Business Dictionary, a customer is a party that receives or consumes products, goods, or services and has the ability to choose between different products and supplies. Another definition given by Harrod's Library's Glossary and Reference Book says that customer, the user of a service, in particular the term implies that a financial transaction is taking place whereby a service or commodity is transferred to a purchaser. The definition given by Business Dictionary is more comprehensive and incorporates all types of consumers. Today, this is a fashionable to call information as a product or service, and libraries provide information products and services to their readers. Most of the services are rendered free of cost by the libraries and information centers. Some cases they charge but nominally. Patron. This term is often used in libraries and in library and information science literature also. ODILS defines patron as any person who uses the resources and services of a library, not necessarily a registered borrower. And this term is synonyms with user. Purchaser. There is another term, purchaser, used for Business Dictionary says that purchaser is a person or entity that is a recipient of a good or service provided by a seller under a purchase order or contract of sale. Generally, this term is not used in library literature and activities. Most of the library products and services are free of cost or charges are very nominal. Reader. This is a core term frequently used in libraries. Generally, libraries have reading room in which readers read or consult various types of material kept for this purpose. Harrod's Library's Glossary and Reference Book defines reader as a person who makes use of literary material in a library. A member of a lending library is frequently called a borrower. As you are aware, reader is a general term which is frequently used interchangeably for user. Now we understand the term user. User is a person who uses library and information resources for various purposes. It may be an individual, a group, an institution, or any other. It is to be noted that users' information need will be different or vary time to time and place to place. It must be remembered that in the changing world, the information need is also changing very rapidly. This is more important how to library and information science professionals frame or feel problem. If library information science professionals do not indulge in the user studies, they would not be able to accurately forecast the future scenario. In libraries and information centers, the term user, reader, patron, and borrower are frequently used for various purposes. In library and information science literature, these terms have been defined to differentiate their connotations. Importance of user. Father of our nation, Mahatma Gandhi has said, a customer is the most important visitor on our premises. He is not dependent on us. We are dependent on him. He is not an interruption in our work. He is the purpose of it. He is not an outsider in our business. He is part of it. We are not doing him a favor by serving him. He is doing us a favor by giving us an opportunity to do so. This statement describes the whole philosophy of serving the people. Library and information science professionals should keep this statement in mind while serving the users. Customer is the king is a slogan we listen everywhere in the market. It shows the importance of user in the market. User satisfaction is the supreme and ultimate purpose of any library or information center. User is very important component of library system or of any information generation, exchange and utilization process. Information is a public resource or a common resource. It must be made available to all citizens on equal footing. Library and information centers are deeply associated with the information generation, exchange, and utilization process. This process can be made more effective and useful if users participate in this process. Now, users are not only beneficiaries of services or passive actors in this process. In the 21st century's changed scenario, a user is an active part of any product or service. Now, information communication technology has given a platform for reciprocity in the functioning of libraries and information centers. Libraries should understand the importance of the user, and they must associate users in the planning, organizing of products and services rendered. Today, libraries are facing several problems. One of them is the dearth of users. Many people do not visit libraries and information centers to avail their services. Endemic nature of this problem in India can be realized by visiting any library. This problem can be solved by giving due importance to users, as users are beneficiaries of any information product and services ultimately. Their opinion and feedback with regard to planning and execution of any service and product would associate more of them to the libraries. Users' need must be satisfied by all means. Really, it is very difficult to cover or limit the scope of the categories of users. Users may be categorized in various ways. How to capture or limit possible categories is a big challenge before the professionals. As you are aware, in this module, an attempt has been made to give one dimension to understand the wide and complex scenario of the phenomenon. Categories of the user may be divided on the basis of some characteristics or attributes, or further categorization may be done on the basis of attributes. The diagram given below shows the various categories of users. The categories may be non-government organizations, educators, individuals, students, rurals, farmers, etc. User may be government departments and various agencies. User may be corporate houses, organizations, etc. Diagram 2, showing a categorization of a term person with various attributes, and diagram is shown on slide 24. If you see in the diagram, a term person is illustrated and various divisions, subdivisions and sub-subdivision are enumerated on the basis of different attributes. Diagram 2, showing a categorization of a term person with various attributes, and diagram is shown on slide 24. If you see in the diagram, a term person is illustrated and various divisions, subdivisions and sub-subdivision are enumerated on the basis of different attributes. For instances, in the following diagram, term person has been further divided by various attributes, and then each division is again put under subdivision. A map is ready to understand the scope of categorization of users. The person may be by age a children, adolescent, adult or aged. By marriage status, a person may be single, married, separated. By economic status, may be lower class, middle class, upper class. A person by literacy, further can be categorized as new literates, adult literates, semi-literates, and illiterates. By gender, it can be further categorized male, female, etc. As you are aware, categories can be made on the basis of attributes or scope and development of new knowledge. For example, user can be categorized on the basis of different kind of disabilities as enumerated in Wikipedia. The categories of disabled users may be as physical disability, sensory disability. The sensory disability can be further categorized as vision disability, hearing disability, olfactory and gustatory disability, somatosensory impairment, and balance disorder. And others are intellectual disability, mental health and emotional disability, developmental disability, and non-visible disability. In this slide, the categorization of students is shown. The students may be regular courses, correspondence or distance, open school, and online learning. These mode further can be categorized as research scholars, PG students, UG students, school students, etc. Categories of students. Categories of students can be drawn on the basis of various attributes such as shown in the diagram 3 categories of students. Further, the person associated with educational activities, for example, teachers. Teachers can be further categorized on the basis of level of education. The level of education, university, colleges, and other institutions. In the universities, the term teacher can be further categorized as professors, associate professors, assistant professors, demonstrators, etc. In colleges, the teacher can be categorized as associate professors and assistant professors. In schools, a teacher can be categorized as postgraduate teacher, trained graduate teacher, प्राइमरी टीचर्स, वरिष्ठ अध्यापक, अध्यापक, सहायक अध्यापक, शिक्षा मित्र, गुरुजी, etc. In administration, it can be categorized as registrars, finance officers, section officer, etc. So categories of students can be done on the basis of various attributes. Characteristics of users. It is very difficult to enumerate all characteristics of users because user is a blanket term which incorporates a variety of attributes. Some of characteristics of users may be their social background, racial, ethnic, religious, cultural, social, economic, demographic, physical, mental, etc. Every user has a specific kind of behavior because the personality of a person gets affected by their religion, family values, demographic and geographical attributes, cultural environment and values exist in that society. All these factors affect the information seeking behavior of the users. Users as individuals or as groups always have a specific kind of features. Library and information science professionals should always keep in mind these characteristics. Accordingly, they can plan and execute various information products and services to the users. Ultimate task or function of any library, product or service is to satisfy the ever-changing and ever-growing information needs of the users. If LIS professionals know the attributes or characteristics of the users, they can plan product and services in a better way. Let us conclude the module categories of users. Dear students, as you are aware, user is the most important component of library activities or information business. There are various alternative terms for user such as audience, borrower, buyer, client, consumer, customer, patron, purchaser, reader, and user. Categories of users have been enumerated and it has been explained how these categories can be multiplied by taking into account different attributes. Various characteristics of users as their social background, their racial, ethnic, religious, cultural, social, economic, demographic, physical, mental statuses, among others, affect their information seeking behavior.